How are we doing in the audience? Are we ready to go? All right. Thank you. All right, and how about our Sweet 16 finalists? Are we ready to go? Yeah, okay. And finally, our judges, are you all ready? Okay. And we've got Mr. Katayama. He's filming and he's ready to go. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to our fans, our students and teachers. Welcome to the HIS first annual Literacy Celebration. Today is the marriage of HIS Reads and HIS Writes. It's the first time we're taking both of these and putting them together in one celebration. HIS Writes is in our second year. We have 7 stories that became finalists from about 30 with 7 special judges. Today, we're going to be releasing who the finalists are throughout the competition. And at the end, we're gonna tell you the top 3 for the HIS Writes short story competition. Right now, we're gonna move into the other part of our celebration, HIS Reads. HIS Reads has been going for 9 years. This is my 9th year and the 9th year of HIS Reads. Today we have 16 books, 16 contestants, and 5 special judges. Let's give a round of applause for all of that. And here, we're our original Sweet 16. We've had 2 alternates who have come in today, and we should give a round of applause for those 2 alternates as well. They were put on, quick notice this morning, very early, around 6:30 to be ready, and they were. So let's give a quick hand for Liam and Shihan for being ready. And now I'd like to introduce one of our special judges. We'll just start with one before we move into the competition. So our first special judge is Mr. Barry Mernon. Let's give him a round of applause. Barry finds joy in reading. From childhood, he would spend hours poring over books and magazines. As he grew older, his passions continued, and he found that books were a source of comfort. For Barry, reading is a way to travel without ever leaving home. He seeks out new books on a wide range of topics, from history and science to philosophy and literature. For Barry, reading is a way to grow as a person. His passion for reading has also led him to become an advocate for literacy and education. For Barry, there are few greater joys than sharing books with others and helping to spread the joy of reading. One more round of applause for Mr. Barry Mernon. And now we show you our Sweet 16 as it is. The moment we've been waiting for, our HIS Reads finals. Let's give a hand for our finalists. And our first defenders are known around the HIS Reads world. I think you know who they are. Let's welcome to the center stage Miyako, and Theo. Now, you all know this, I've been advertising this like crazy, but Miyako is one of 3 former champions. We had 3 to start with. Last year, she took the book defense circuit with her deep philosophical pondering as she defended Deep River. This year, she defends another one of my favorites, the Pulitzer Prize-winning book, The Overstory. Let's give a round of applause for Miyako. Facing off against Miyako's Theo, despite his top 4 finish last year, Theo nearly missed the finals this year, only squeezing back into it through the judges' strong recommendations. Today, he defends a fitting book, a series of unfortunate events, The Bad Beginning. Let's get Miyako in front of the mic, and Theo, you can help her out with the time, and we will listen to our first defense. It's a 1-minute round, 1 minute and 2 seconds are on the clock. You may begin whenever you're ready. Please start the timer when you're ready.
When is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When is the next best time? Now. No, I'm not telling you to go home and plant a tree. Simply ponder on this old Chinese proverb as a thought. Think about how the decisions you make now would affect your future. Reading allows us to learn things from a new perspective and rediscover ourselves alongside characters, or in this case, trees. The Overstory by Richard Powers makes us think about our environmental impacts and our insignificance compared to nature's true apex species. We live in a society that forces us to focus on our present moment, or as Powers says, the only place where people really live, the few-second wide window of now. Already, our life is so short compared to the lifespan of trees, and only a small seed in the vast fabric of time. But how will you utilize your few-second wide window to plant your own tree? Thank you.
Facing off, we have Theo, a series of unfortunate events, The Bad Beginning. Whenever you're ready, please begin.
Why do we read? Now, it took me a moment to understand this. Then I came up with a resolution that we read to learn new ideas and words and learn from the main character's mistakes. That was my interpretation of the value of reading. However, the Baudelaires, the main character of my book, did not make any mistakes. They were just living a pleasant life. However, an unfortunate event occurs, and the Baudelaires lose their parents and their mansion and everything that they owned. Their joyful days turn into a series of nightmares, day after day. And this naturally made the Baudelaires rediscover all the great things that they once had and wanted nothing more than their parents back. And this led to me asking myself a question that I would like you to answer. Does losing everything help us rediscover all the great things that we once had? And if so, then can rediscovery cause pain, suffering, and regret? Thank you.
Thank you for our first matchup. Before we turn to our next matchup, I would like to turn to our second of our 5 judges, someone I hadn't seen for about 6 years, Miss Anna Stepanova. I taught Anna my first 2 years at HIS. She was an excellent student and an even better literature student. Anna has a tendency to become so enraptured by a book that she forgets to breathe. I think there's even a word for that. In fact, her devouring passion for literary adventures has become a health hazard. At the hands of novels, Anna experienced a number of unfortunate side effects that include, but are not limited to, a fit of laughter on public transport, inability to put down a book until it is confiscated, and collision with a streetlight. And yet, Anna is always on the hunt for the next treasure, be it fiction or not, that will put her under its spell. Let's welcome our second judge, Anna Stepanova. Speaking of being put under a spell, I'd like to introduce our next judge, Anna's fiancé, Clément Foucault. Let's give him a hand. Clément graduated ecological sciences and is now working in computer graphics. He recognizes the power of storytelling and often uses the books he reads as inspiration in his work. Reading has always held a special place in Clément's life since he was young. He's been captivated by the incredible way books can whisk us away into endless lives and experiences we might never encounter otherwise. Out of all the authors he admires, Oliver Sacks has a unique spot in his heart. Known as both a neurologist and a talented writer, Sacks skillfully weaves together the stories of his patients, shining a light on their lives in a profound way. It's not just about medical journals for Sacks. His books are heartfelt celebrations of empathy and embracing our differences. They offer a fresh perspective on life, inviting readers like Clément to see the world through new eyes and fueling their love for books. Let's give a hand for Clément Foucault. And up next, I would like to introduce a very special defender. This next contestant has joined the HIS Reads finals many times before. She's also the first and only, so far, to win HIS Reads as a middle schooler. You know who I'm talking about. Put your hands together for Hana Katayama. Hana joins her best friend Aina on the stage today. Let's give Aina a hand. And you can see even friends must compete at times. Friendly competition, after all, is good for the world. Our 2018 HIS Reads champion in her 5th finals during her final year, Hana will defend Mitch Albom's The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. As soon as you're ready, you may begin.
Paradise, nirvana, and heaven. We all have different beliefs about life after death. But what if the afterlife was a place where you could rediscover yourself? A place where you could have your life explained to you by 5 people. They could be your family, closest friends, or even strangers. But in some way, your lives intersected and changed forever. Likewise, books can expose us to uncharted territories of our own life, and reading can actively influence the trajectory of our present and future self. But my book starts at the end. On his 83rd birthday, the protagonist Eddie dies in a tragic accident. But all endings are also beginnings. And one by one, Eddie encounters the 5 people you meet in heaven, each person unraveling the story of Eddie's life. Through Eddie, we can all imagine our own heavens. So which 5 people do you think you would meet? And how would their stories bring peace into your life? Thank you.
And to follow that up, Aina has picked the perfect book for this tricky situation. She defends a book titled Zen Wisdom for the Anxious. Whenever you're ready, Aina, you may begin.
Instead of feeling that you've done or seen it all before, look for the newness in every moment. A quote from a Japanese Buddhist monk in this book, called Zen Wisdom for the Anxious, explains how we, especially for people like me who get anxious easily, can live a life of Zen. By shifting our focus from worries about the future to excitement about the present, we can rediscover happiness in any aspect of our lives. But I'm not gonna lie, this is not going to be an easy transition. However, by reading this book, it lets us be true to who we are and at the same time encourages us to improve ourselves. Even though it is scary to step out of our comfort zones, this book will provide us with the first steps and will continue to support us along the journey. So, how will you question yourself through your own heart? And are you willing to take your first step to rediscover your life? Thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause for Hannah. And now we take a brief defense interlude as I share with you a little bit more about our literacy partner in this marriage, HIS Rights. Throughout this celebration, I'll be revealing the story titles, our 7 final stories. In the audience, the writers will recognize the name of their story, but don't give yourself away yet. Rejoice in your heart. I will share the names later. Please relish in hearing your story title without spoiling the big reveal. And good authors know that writing is about choosing when to reveal and when to hold back. The title is especially important. And here is our first title reveal. Forgotten Goal, all right. And up next, we did have a defender scheduled to come out of a brief retirement. But unfortunately, she's ill today. But don't despair. HIS is filled with talent. Taking her place, let's welcome Shihan and Marie to the stage. Give them a hand. Shihan found out for sure about, 25 minutes ago that she'd be replacing Julie, so thank you so much for that. And I failed to remember or put down in my notes how to read that in English, so can you remind me? It's a title of the book. Yeah. Oh, you can give it to in Chinese too. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Hidden Love, that's it. Okay, I see. Okay. Hidden Love. So she'll be defending Hidden Love, and she'll be the first defender of the two. And as soon as you're ready, Shihan, you may begin.
What is the value of reading? We all say that the value of reading is improving our language and vocabulary skills, which is all true, but what if we go even deeper? Reading allows us to step into different people's shoes and experience the beautiful world the author built for us and escape reality for just a little while. Through Hidden Love by Jui, we rediscover the purest form of love, which is why this book is so valuable. Throughout the stories, we readers experience the bittersweet romance of Sangzhi and Duan Jiaxu. This is the most general love story any romance book contains, but why would I choose this book for HIS readers? When I first read this book, I thought it was just a casual romance novel, but when I read it again, the details shook me. The author strategically sets the two main characters with a certain age gap, leading Sangzhi, who was younger, to be lost but still determined for her love. And this really got me thinking, shouldn't this be the truest and purest form of love? Thank you.
Thank you. And up next, lover of stories, keeping her finger on the pulse, Marie will be defending Impulse. Whenever you're ready, Marie, you may begin.
Let me ask you all a question you've probably never asked yourself, or even thought about. What defines you? You may not know the answer to the question yet, but through reading, we learn how to redefine ourselves, not by society's perspective and judgment, but through our own. When asked the question, what defines you? The main characters of the book, Impulse, did not know how to respond, as they each thought they had nothing. All of them, Connor, Tony, and Vanessa, all are on their way to the mental hospital after a suicide attempt to rediscover themselves. But what does rediscovery mean? And what must they rediscover? to leave this mental hospital. Although this book may not answer all your questions on rediscovery and redefining yourself, it can help you get a better grasp on how you can redefine yourself and rediscover if you think you have nothing left. Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause for matchup number 3. Before we move to the 4th matchup, let's welcome another one of our judges, someone who resides close to home, or maybe I should say boards very close to school. Multiple pun intended. Please welcome Dr. Raluca Nagi. Raluca is an anthropologist and writer. Most of the text related to her work as an anthropologist, whether she reads or writes them, are in English. When it comes to literature, she writes in Romanian, her native language, and reads, where possible, the original versions rather than the translations. You all should come up and talk to her and ask her how many languages she dabbles in. Raluca's favorite genre is creative nonfiction, and she admires Rachel Cusk's finesse and style. Rumor has it, any good writer is first and foremost a good reader. Therefore, she spends a lot of time reading and is looking forward to hearing the recommendations today. Let's give her a hand. Matchup number 4 is next. Let's welcome Celia and Aiden. Celia came to our school just 3 months ago or so, but she's made waves. Stunning every teacher with her insight and drive, she's been a wonderful addition to our school. And she came with very strong recommendations from the qualifying judges, and for that reason, she was seated right behind our original 3 former champs. Let's welcome Celia. She'll be defending My Brother's Name is Jessica. Celia, you may begin when you're ready.
The UK recently banned conversion therapy, a practice that aims to change someone's sexuality or gender identity to fit societal norms. This is exactly what Jessica has to go through in My Brother's Name is Jessica by John Boyne, which is a moving coming-of-age story set in London. This novel is told through Jessica's younger brother's perspective, Sam, who has to challenge his preconceived notions about gender identity as his sister comes out and transitions in a political and conservative household. Sam is also forced to rediscover his own identity and his relationship to masculinity. This book reminds us of books' power to inform and inspire, and challenges us to dig deeper about our own beliefs. So I ask you today, how can we rediscover our own sense of identity and embrace new perspectives as explored in My Brother's Name is Jessica by John Boyne? Thank you. Happy Pride Month.
And facing Celia is Aiden. In his last year at HIS, before heading across the sea to some posh boarding school, he will give it his all with full conviction. Defending conviction, we welcome Aiden. Please begin when you're ready.
A conviction between 2 worlds, and when Braden chooses both, everything crumbles. Conviction by Kelly Lloyd Gilbert is about a small-town boy who questions everything he holds to be true when his father is accused of murder. Apart from being confused and worried, he had to worry about school, baseball, and family, and it was too much. And he exploded. He couldn't hold it in anymore. Conviction taught me that sometimes being convicted between 2 or more things never really works. This quote comes from Braden after failing. I tried, I really did, but it was all too much. I was doomed from the beginning. And as Braden realizes he should have never tried, regret rushes in. Now I ask everyone, do you really want to be like Braden, crushed by 2 worlds at the same time? Or do you want to conquer worlds individually and be the conqueror of worlds? one at a time. Thank you.
And now we shift back to some more HIS rights. Now, what was my goal in shifting back? That's it. I'd nearly forgotten. Our next title reveal is something that the doctor ordered. Give it up for the story. The Steampunk Doctor. Give him a hand. Our fifth matchup pairs a middle schooler against one of our juniors. Let's welcome Zachary and Jury to the stage. Zachary, one of my favorite recent students, is defending one of my favorite recent books, the prequel to The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But please read the full trilogy before you go back to the prequel. Zachary, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
No matter where we go in life, we're always going to be faced with change, whether that be from moving, whether that be from growing up, or a variety of other things. But what's always helpful is having a listener. What reading gives us is an out. It gives us a place where we can find relatability through characters who tell the same story as us inside. It gives us a place where we can reflect with no judgment. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Susan Collins' dystopian prequel to the Hunger Games series, tells the tale of the main character, Coriolanus, battling between his innocence and the goal as he grows up and finds his way in the world. And as he faces his trials and change, he, quote, transformed, but not into anything he was proud of. After your trials, like relationship troubles, depression, and other heavy things, how can you discover how to rediscover yourself and grow your identity into something not just different, but something like unlike Coriolanus, something that you're proud of? Thank you.
And following suit, our next defender will offer something else transformative. Jury defends the metamorphosis. Whenever you're ready, Jury, you may begin.
Have you ever encountered a moment where you pause and think, who am I really? Where do I actually belong? In the Metamorphosis, Gregor, the main character, often asks himself these questions. The story follows the life of Gregor Samsa, a traveling salesman who wakes up one morning to be transformed into a giant insect. As a result of his transformation, he becomes isolated from his family and is ultimately rejected and neglected. Through his transformation, Gregor realizes that he lives in a world that is increasingly indifferent to the needs and desires of the individual. Reading books teaches us how to gain identity in this age of mutual indifference. This helps us rediscover and have a fresh perspective of who we are and where we belong. So how far must you go? Like Gregor, must you transform into a disgusting insect before understanding yourself? Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause for Zachary and Jury. And now let's welcome our finals judge, someone who always made his way to the head of the table, our very own head of school, Tim Schlosser. But Tim is so much more. A passionate writer and reader, Tim Schlosser's life has been immeasurably enriched by reading. It is one of the primary reasons he ended up in education. Since starting out as a middle school English teacher in LA, he has continued to keep a reading record. Originally started as a model for students to do the same as a part of a reading competition. Of every book he finishes cover to cover. Recent additions to that record include books by Nick Hornby, Bernard Cornwell, Pico Iyer, Martha Wells, Tracy Franz, Haruki Murakami, and Bruce Lee, to name a few. Read-alouds with Koa have also taken on a prominent place in the record, including some of my favorites. No, Tim doesn't read aloud to me, but I still like these authors. They're Beverly Cleary, J.R.R. Tolkien, and Roald Dahl. And there is, of course, a smattering of professional books in there too, the best recent one being In Search of Deeper Learning. Tim is very much looking forward to soaking in great suggestions for his next reads from all of the HIS Reads finalists. Let's give him a round of applause. And up next is a very special announcement. Someone who might get overlooked, possibly because he's busy being overworked, mostly because he's so overly talented. Please give your thanks to Hajime Katayama. Since the start of HIS Reads 9 years ago, Hajime has been the reason why we can hear the defenders defend, why we can see their defenses for months and years to come, and why we can celebrate their achievements. He set up all the sound and video today, and he takes photos of our finalists and champions. I have spent much time working with Hajime, even more this year, through my work, and I can tell you that Hajime is even more talented than any of us know. The school is lucky to have him. Let's give him another round of applause. And that brings us to our next matchup. It's a middle school duel of the Jays. Let's welcome Ji-Yu and Julius. Not only do we have two great reading defenders, but we also have two young budding writers. And you know what they say about the fine line between genius and, well, let's just say that these two are out of their minds. Perhaps they need some help. Today for HIS Reads, Ji-Yu will be defending Out of My Mind. Whenever you're ready to start, Ji-Yu, you may begin.
Have you ever faced challenges getting to understand others? If you had, how did you overcome them? The main character of this book, Melody, faces many obstacles as she faces the world, and one of the obstacles that Melody faces is her disability, which she can't communicate with others easily. So lots of people often underestimate her. However, with the help of her family, friends, and teachers, Melody begins to discover her own strengths and abilities. Books like this are meant to be read and shared. This quote, spoken by Melody's teacher, shows the value of reading as an event for the community. Reading is not just an independent effort, it can be a way to connect with others and share our own discoveries. We also can learn from one another and rediscover the value of kindness and compassion throughout the book Out of My Mind by Sharon D. Draper. Thank you.
And next, Julius will be defending The Help. Whenever you're ready to begin, Julius, you may.
Books give us education, happiness, and a view of other perspectives around the world. Books teach us morals that we use in the future to improve our lives and others' lives as well. Aileen, Miss Skeeter, and Minnie, the main characters of The Help, all desired to give people these advantages by making a book about the life of a black maid. Sadly, however, this is not approved of because of the huge split in relationships between black people and white people in Jackson, Mississippi. In fact, the main antagonist of the story, Miss Hilly, said, "All these houses they're building without maids' quarters, it's just plain dangerous. Everybody knows they carry different kinds of diseases that we do." She said this because she was scared of black people and white people sharing the same bathroom. When you read this great story, do you think you will discover the hidden racism inside Miss Hilly's voice? The hidden racism inside everyone that helps Miss Hilly. Thank you.
A round of applause for Ji-Yu and Julius. Good night. And now it's time for another HIS Rights title reveal. Following the first two, I present my hope, my wish. Give it up for all the small wishes. And that brings us to our next matchup, 7 out of 8 for round 1. Please welcome one middle schooler and one high schooler. Welcome Jiwoo and alternate number 1, Liam. Another talented writer and reading defender, Jiwoo, is returning to the finals after an amazing second place finish last year, the highest finish for a middle schooler since Hana Katayama. She is defending a book titled Eleanor and Park. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
When I picked up the book, it was out of curiosity since everyone seemed to love it, but in fact, I ended up not enjoying it at all. Now you might wonder why I'm standing in front of you to defend a book I didn't like. Books cannot be labeled bad or good, just like how people cannot be defined as one word, and characters in book have their flaws too. For instance, Eleanor and Park lack self-esteem. Most importantly, the flaws aren't limited to them, but to the author themselves as well. In this book, there are racist descriptions that show Rowell's lack of respect for Asians. People write books for people to read them, and so through that, we understand people. Why should we persist to read a book that we initially find bad? Even if I didn't enjoy the book, I still found it valuable, and that was my rediscovery. It was that it made me think in the end. I learned racism from a third perspective is different than just knowing it. Books suggest different angles, meaning there are different ways to value books as well. What do you require to find a book truly valuable? Thank you.
Leo joined us just this year, literally this year, January 2023, and he joins this competition today. Liam is our first alternate. Today, he defends a dystopian thriller, The Hunger Games. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Imagine being forced to choose between your own life and the life of your sibling. What would you do? In my book, The Hunger Games, the protagonist Katniss is given this very dilemma. In this challenge to her will, she is forced to reassess and rediscover who she is. Being in a dystopian world where people are forced to fight each other in a great battle royale. Throughout this book, Katniss is presented with challenges of government control through being forced to participate in a death game, as well as personal identity by being reduced to nothing but herself and her will to survive. Throughout this story, we are given a glimpse into the mind of a girl stripped of everything, left to fight for her very existence. Through reading about someone else's struggle, we are able to reassess our own lives and rediscover our own identities relative to the world around us. I encourage you all to not only read this book, but many more to expand your view of the world and rediscover what makes you yourself.
Thank you. A round of applause. And it's time for another HIS Rights interlude. I'd like to share about our first fantastic writing judge. She's a professional author who spent time in Sapporo at the Tenjin-yama Artist Studio. She was introduced to me through Mr. McLean via Miss Okawa, who's the director there, and her name is Miss Lane Cunningham. Let's give a hand for her. She's not here, but let's give a hand for her. Lane Cunningham was raised by books, so it seems only natural that she built a career writing them. In the pages of novels, she found adventure, challenges, and thoughtful moments. All of them led to rediscovery of other people, other cultures, and her place in the world. She truly enjoyed reading the HIS finalist stories, providing her professional feedback and ranking. From afar, we might share the video later. Let's give her a round of applause. And to round out round one, I would like to welcome two talented high schoolers, multilingual, great eye for design and quality. Let's welcome to the center, Yeyoon and Hane. Our marvelous designer, the yearbook cover, the end of the year concert banners, right up there, the all-school t-shirt coming next year. Wow. But no, we see another side of you. My grade 10 librarian, the quiet creator behind the room 302 library signs. Yeyoon will be defending Gulliver's Travels. Whenever you're ready to begin, you may.
Do you think Gulliver's Travels is just a funny children's book? Actually, Gulliver's Travels by Joanna Swift is one of the most famous satires in the world. The value of reading satires is they offer us a unique way of rediscovering the truth of the human society. A great example of how satire shows us what's wrong with the world is the scene when Gulliver recommends gunpowder to the king of the giants. Even though the king was, quote, struck with horror at the invention that allowed people to murder each other so easily, Gulliver was really proud of this invention. This illustrates how Gulliver's Travels uses satire to teach us we might be proud of the wrong things. So, do you still think that Gulliver's Travels is just a funny children's book? Then you will be shocked by the truth that the satire revealed in this book. Thank you.
Facing off against her, another publication student, and you might remember her as one of our MCs for the end of year concert, just getting over her sickness. Perhaps she was talking too much as an MC. Hane made the trip in today to defend Iron Widow. We'll give her a little slack with the time if she coughs, and we'll welcome her to defend as soon as she's ready.
Have you ever questioned the hero's moral in the story? I have. The main character, Zetian, is trapped in a society where women had to get sacrificed for male in order to save the country from outside forces. One way the society fought was through chrysalis. A man and a woman would step into a chrysalis, and this generated power. And during the battle, the woman usually dies. One day, Zetian decided to enlist in the army. She had a motive. It was to kill a top-class general who killed multiple women and took pleasure in it. Although murder is all by measures immoral, through Zetian's eyes, I was able to understand why she wanted to and had the motivation to kill. The book made me reflect on things we consider immoral in society, and how someone can be driven to justify their motivation to kill. To me, being able to learn a new perspective, however challenging it may be, is a value of reading. But let me ask you this, what is the value of reading from your perspective? Thank you.
Give a hand for Yeyoon and Hane. And a round of applause for our Sweet 16. And that was round one, and now it's time to dismiss our judges to make their first decision. Judges? Yeah? You'll be moving 8 into round 2. You may be dismissed. You should return in 11 minutes. Thank you. Let's give them a hand. And for the rest of us, before we take our intermission, please join me in celebrating another HIS Rights story. Following our first 3, we have, wait, I forgot. What was it called? Could someone give me give it up for Reminder! And with that, we have our first celebratory bathroom break. Go grab water, release water, enjoy a float or two. Buy me one while you're at it, and be back in your seats in 10. We'll see you in 10 minutes. 1:58. Thank you. Yes. All right. And now the moment we've been waiting for after round one, those 8 who will advance to the great 8. Let's give a round of applause to those advancing. Give it a hand. Theo will move forward. Give a hand for Theo. Taking down last year's team. And moving forward, we have Hane. Taking down you. The next one moving forward is Celia. Taking down me. And moving forward, we have Jury. On the other side of the bracket, let's give a hand for Hana Katayama. A hard and battle. Moving forward, right below is Jiwoo. The hard alternate. Moving forward in the next one, we have Marie. Give her a hand. And last but not least, moving forward, we have Gigi. Let's give her a hand. All right. Could the 8 who are leaving, we're going to be leaving the stage, but we'd love to take a photo with you now. So if you want to come in front of the stage, we'll get the certificates all set up for you, and we'll take a photo together. So those 8, please come down and stand in front of the stage. Just take a photo. Thank you. You guys just come in front of the stage for me, please. For Leon and Shihan, Aiden, Aina, Julius, Zachary, Miyako, and Yeun is coming as well. Mr. Schlosser is working hard over there. Okay. Let's give a round of applause. Okay. All right. And we're going to take a photo, so sure. Big smile. Okay, everyone, please. One more time, please. Sweet 16. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, and we're just going to freeze the batter here, the batters up here, because we're going to have a little quick Actually, we're going to move into our first matchup. So, up next, we'll have Theo first, followed by Hane. This is a second round focused on character development. Let's give a hand for Theo.
Fear, desire, these are the two things that keep us going in life. I mean, just think about it. We do things because we desire or fear things. For example, we study in school because of our fear that we will ruin our futures. And we work in jobs for our desire to live and buy things that we want. Throughout my book, the Baudelaires are mainly driven through fear. Now, I'm not talking about fear of getting toys taken away or being grounded or anything. I'm talking about one of them being taken as a hostage, being threatened to be killed. Now, although the Baudelaires' circumstances were very extreme, this helped them bond and find ways to apply their unique abilities in ways that they could not have before they lost their parents. Violet's mind of an engineer, Klaus's vast knowledge, and Sunny's 4 sharp teeth. Reading this book really helped me develop one main husky, grit. The Baudelaires did not give up, no matter how bad that their circumstance became or how badly they just wanted to give up. They were left with nothing but persevere. Seeing them in a way worse situation than me, but still fighting, made me realize that if they can do it in this horrible circumstance, then I can go beyond them. So I fought through obstacles in my life and found positive ways to resolve issues. I replaced bad habits with good ones. I felt 100 times better. So, if you want to be inspired to persevere and achieve your dream, which I think everyone here wants to, then read this book. Thank you.
Up next, let's give a hand for Hane. She's in round 2. It's the Iron Widow.
Feeling trapped in an ultra-patriarchal society ruled under gory rituals, Zetian grew up in a world where women had less value than men. The women were banished, isolated, silenced. Healthy, capable women were disabled. In her world, a woman had 2 paths in life. One was to be sold off as a child bride, and the second path was volunteering as a concubine pilot for the army. The army was instrumental on defending humanity against invading Hurons, faceless creatures. In both paths, women were doomed. They faced oppression, and they were powerless either way. From age 7, young Zetian was forced to bind her feet. She hated the fact that she was limited by her deformed feet. She hated the idea of being idle at home. Domestic life didn't suit her, so she chose the life of a concubine pilot. Even though women were second-class citizens, pilots had a role in society. Women would provide the energy source. If her circumstances were even lucky, she had the chance of becoming an actual co-pilot, not just another sacrifice. As a concubine pilot, she killed a top-class general. That gave her a lot of power and confidence. Throughout this book, this confidence is displayed repeatedly. While examples are apocalyptic, dire, and dark, she always looked for places she could offer the greatest impact in the world. Not only did Zetian grow her confidence, but as this book progresses, it also made me think about definitions of excellence and made me reflect on my choices and how I can cultivate better what I'm capable of. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Theo and Hane. Up next, we have another HIS Rights judge announcement, actually 2. The better and other half? Once again, we have Dr. Radhika Nagi. Radhika is an anthropologist and writer. In fact, rumor has it that she is in very elite company among the best novelists in Europe. But she would never say that out loud. She's far too kind and humble. But I would, and I did. We are in her amazing presence. Radhika not only loves reading, but writing. She has written ever since she can remember, mainly because it has helped her understand the world. Most of the text related to her work as an anthropologist are in English. When it comes to literature, she writes in Romanian, her native language. She published 2 novels, each telling the story of a woman, probably to balance the fact that the most famous stories of women have been written by men. Her best, most heartwarming encounters as a writer have been with young readers of her books. Therefore, she was very happy to have the opportunity to read the finalists' stories, to have a glimpse of their understanding of the world. Let's give another round of applause for Dr. Raluca. Another source for Raluca understanding the world might possibly be her friend and partner, Mr. Neil McLean. Let's give him a round of applause. Before teaching, Neil was a journalist and editor based in Brussels. He used to write about politics, trade, and business. Doing lots of trips around Europe for work, he branched out into writing about culture and travel, eventually coming to Japan to write for Rough Guides. He enjoyed reading the finalist stories, providing his rankings and feedback, and would like to provide one last writing tip, the best writing advice he ever got. Never lie, never be boring, and never be late. Let's give him a round of applause. And up next, we have our 10th matchup. Let's welcome Hana and Jiwoo to the stage. Hana will be up first, defending the 5 people you meet in heaven. Whenever she's ready, she may begin.
The human mind is prone to hypotheticals. We often waste our time wondering, what if? What if you had different parents? What if you had pursued a different career? What if you lived in a different place? Such hypotheticals plagued Eddie's mind, even at 83 years old. After experiencing poverty, abuse from his father, and trauma from the war, Eddie had felt trapped. He never left his hometown, and he felt imprisoned by his mundane job. But Eddie realizes in heaven that there is no age limit to growth, because growth is an intrinsic and essential process of human life. Eddie shows us that it is never too late to learn and understand yourself and your life. Like Eddie, characters in fiction are special because they allow us to explore a limitless world and make allusions to our own life experiences. But what if I told you that time is not what you think? Dying, not the end of everything. We assume it is. But in this story at least, what happens on earth is only the beginning. Eddie finds that heaven is not a sanctuary, but a place for reflection and understanding our life on earth. So first, we must understand our intentions. And the process of self-reflection is crucial for this, because reflection allows us to re-examine our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. Reflection in itself is rediscovery. It is through revisiting our past actions that we first come to realize our true intentions. Without reflection, we easily become victim to the hypothetical what-ifs. In today's society, what we all need is solitude, to create a single connection between ourselves and the world. And through Eddie, we can all envision our own reflective sanctuaries. So, how can reflection serve as a guide for your path to rediscovery, to bring peace into your life? Thank you.
And up next, let's give a round of applause for Jiwoo. Jiwoo, you may begin when you're ready.
Books, which are a special type of art the author expresses themselves, works as a door that we can see the author's mind. That can be such a wonderful experience, and we can actually see what kind of person the author is as well, including their negative aspects. In fact, the author acts as a third and the most significant character in a story. Why? Because they have control, and in return, leaving pieces of themselves left in the book. Eleanor and Park is a love story of 2 outsiders, a quiet boy that likes comics, and a red-haired girl that's called a freak. Eleanor knows she'll never fit in at school or at her house where her abusive stepfather awaits.
The book captures youth not beautified, but as it is raw. It is violent, destructive, and painful, beautiful, but too frank it hurt. The book even received criticism about it being aggressive and inappropriate and having foul words in it. Expressing and thinking are among the main values of reading for our inner growth. Thought is an evolving process and it should not be censored and restricted. That would interrupt the evolution of thoughts. We learn from the shifting and developing thoughts as the story proceeds. Quote, Park's eyes got wide. Well, sort of wide. Sometimes she wondered if the shape of his eyes affected how he saw things. Park is the only person that has an Asian ethnicity at his school, and he's very self-conscious about it. Eleanor, who falls for him, also addresses him as being a weird Asian boy that is honey skin. She doesn't respect and loves him as he is, but rather acknowledges that he is different than others and is indeed the weird Asian kid. Perhaps the author of the book might have not intended the microaggression. Understanding the author's expression, including the unintended, teaches us how our words are perceived by others. Good or bad, that is how the author navigates us to be a better human being as a result. We can learn from them. And perhaps be the person Eleanor, Park, and the author failed to be.
Thank you. A round of applause for Hana and Jiwoo. And I had some of the not-so-secret HIS rights creators come up very excited because I revealed their title, and now it's time for another title reveals. So after our first Quattro finalists, I reveal something that makes us take a step back numerically, a reinterpretation of a tale we all know. Let's give a hand for the tale of Goldie and the Triplets. And I welcome our next HIS Reads matchup. To the stage we have Celia and Jerry. Give them a hand. Celia will be defending once again. My brother's name is Jessica. Celia, once you're ready, you may begin.
Character development is essential in creating well-rounded and relatable characters. It allows readers to connect and invest themselves in the journey of the novel. Sam's character development in My Brother's Name is Jessica by John Boyne is a central focus. At first, Sam is confused and resistant to his sister's announcement of being a woman and wanting to be called Jessica. But then, he embarks on a profound journey of transformation where he learns to embrace his sister's core essence. This is how he develops the Husky's core value of being an internationally minded citizen, which is marked by his acceptance, understanding, and unconditional love for his sister at the end of the novel. He also demonstrates the capacity for growth and being able to bridge divides between individuals with different perspectives and different identities. This book was honestly such an emotional read. It helped me embrace authenticity, challenge societal norms, and it taught me a lot about the struggles faced by transgender individuals. While I already knew that transgender individuals faced many struggles, this novel really brought the struggles to life, and I probably cried twice reading this book, so it's a really good book, guys. Sam also shows that his growth and adaptability can give this queer community hope and strength that people and society will eventually accept them. This novel helped us confront narrow perspectives and develop a greater understanding of the trans community. It motivates readers to create a more inclusive and supportive society, which can lead to a fundamental shift in empathy, compassion, and openness. What a slay. Thank you.
And once again, Jury will be defending the Metamorphosis. You may start when you're ready.
Identity can be a tool to define yourself. Every day, we try to improve ourselves through better lifestyles, better education, and many other ways. But while working for it, we are essentially refining and enhancing our identity. But at the same time, our identity can be so vulnerable that we can break or lose it quickly. Gregor was first a salesman, and his life was perfect and successful. But one day, he woke up with 6 legs and a shell on his back. He looked in the mirror and saw a bug. From that day, everything changed. Gregor struggled to figure out who he was. Quote, "I cannot make you understand. I cannot make anyone understand what is happening inside me. I cannot even explain it to myself." He gets confused with his identity and eventually thinks about committing suicide. However, during his rejection turmoil, Gregor discovers that his metamorphosis allows him to reevaluate his life and relationships. Reflecting is an essential process that involves thinking deeply and critically about our experiences and actions. We step back and look at ourselves from a different perspective and gain insights and understanding from them. Gregor reflects on his role as a provider for his family, finding pride in the comfort he has afforded them. Franz Kafka, the author of this book, once said, "Don't bend, don't water it down, don't try to make it logical, don't edit your soul according to the passion. Rather, follow your most intense obsessions mercilessly." This quote emphasizes the significance of following one's most intense obsessions persistently. It suggests that individuals should pursue their deepest passions and desires. What is your passion? What was your passion 3 years ago? Are you on the right track that you're supposed to be? Don't you have to step back and observe yourself? Not only Gregor, but us, readers, can also develop ourselves by reading this book. Thank you.
Round of applause for Celia and Jury. And I have one more HIS Rights Judging Partnership to share with you. Karen Miller. Karen is an avid reader and can't pass a day without picking up her Kindle. She's contributed to several books, including Tokyo, the Complete Residence Guide, Explore Publishing, To Japan with Love, a travel guide for the connoisseur, Things Asian Press, as well as Sacred Places of a Lifetime and Food Journeys of a Lifetime, both from National Geographic. She recently co-authored a children's book, Mother Wild, a book of mothers' dreams that was created with moms in mind. Her passion is travel writing, and she has been published in several top magazines and newspapers around the world, including Condé Nast Traveler, Travel and Leisure, and CNN. Let's give a round of applause for one of our HIS Rights judges, Karen Miller. And we move to the man standing behind her, in this photo at least, our local U.S. representative, Mr. Bo Miller. Before joining the State Department, Bo worked in magazine publishing as a writer and editor. Through writing assignments in Beijing and Tokyo, he met and profiled people doing interesting things. Guerrilla street artists, cocktail craftsmen, Japan's last ninja, pro snowboarder Travis Rice, a 10-time NBA All-Star Carmelo Anthony. He also dabbled in freelance writing for travel and trade publications, taking assignments on subjects as varied as upscale patissiers and radio frequency wireless technology. He has loved reading since he can remember, dating back at least to a reading incentive program in 2nd grade that rewarded every 5 books read with free fast food. He proudly chewed through a record number of books and French fries that year. Let's give him a round of applause. Just like we chewed through that crusty snow in that late spring season photo from Central Hokkaido. Up next, we have our final Grade 8 matchup. Let's give a round of applause for Marie and Jiu. Marie will be defending Impulse first. Whenever you're ready, Marie.
What is there to rediscover? They each believed that they had nothing to begin with. The
process of picking up the pieces and growing away from the mindset that they once had was excruciatingly painful, with many temptations back to the gun, the blade, and the pills. Try to define grit. What does it mean to you? For me, it's pushing through times of grief, even if it's hard. And to you, it might be something simple, like finishing a project, or homework that has been hard. But to Tony, Connor, and Vanessa, they had to resist the urge to give up forever, and to wake up and see another day. Each of them had to show a great amount of grit to make it through their stay at the mental hospital. Connor and Tony both had to reconcile with their parents after years, and Vanessa had to finally open up to the people around her. In theory, doing all of this should help all three of them put the pieces back together that they've once lost, to rediscover who they once were. But there were times that they had to take a step back and start over again. Every story is different. While some may have happy endings, others may not. And in this story, we can see how Connor's story was not a happy ending. Not everyone is able to rediscover the person that they once were. And we can see this in Connor's story, where he lost himself even amongst the people that he treasured in such a short time. This shows how in life, things do happen. And sometimes, not every person can be saved, and that's all part of the road to rediscovery. Through grit and perseverance, while most can rediscover what was once lost through turmoil, for some, letting go might be the best way to cope, and that's life. Thank you.
To you defending Out of My Mind next, as soon as she's ready.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be afraid of things, but that's not a reason to keep yourself from trying. This quote by Melody's mother gives us a reminder that the journey of rediscovery is not easy, but is important. Reading and learning can be challenging, especially when we face new ideas and perspectives. Still, we can only truly grow and discover new parts of us by overcoming our fears and pushing ourselves towards into it. In the book, the main character Melody goes on a trivia game, the Whiz Kids Ball. Melody was afraid to join the team because she had a fear of being judged by her classmates. However, as she continues in the competition, she builds confidence in herself and learns that she can do great things. Throughout the many scenes from the book, I could learn that the confidence is really important for our own selves because it empowers us to take action, overcomes challenges, and believe in our own abilities to achieve success. Melody faces many obstacles and setbacks, but she never gives up. Personal growth in ourselves comes from learning to stay focused despite situations of challenges, even when the path forward may be difficult. By seeing Melody's changes, we are encouraged to reflect on our own journey of self-rediscovery and find the courage to embrace our true selves. It is also a powerful reminder that loving and accepting ourselves can lead to personal achievement and development. Out of My Mind takes on a journey with the main character Melody that emphasizes the importance of confidence and accepting our unique talents. And it also demonstrates the life-changing impact of self-love and confidence through Melody's experiences to help us as a reminder for appreciating and valuing our own true selves. Thank you.
A round of applause for Marie and Ji. Give them a hand. And another round of applause for Grady. Thank you. And now it's time to dismiss our 5 special judges for another challenge. 8 must become 4. Please be back in 11 minutes. Everybody else, hang tight. To the audience, we're not done. To the audience and remaining finalists, before our own intermission, let's reveal another title. Guys in the back, we're not done yet. Yeah. This next story is directed at a very broad audience, the entire world. Please celebrate the short story, Journal to the World. Give a hand for Journal to the World. All right, and now you can go I forgot my wallet. Okay, thank you. Welcome back. All right, let's give another round of applause to our grade 8 behind me. All right, and between Theo and Hane, let's have those two stand up, please. Theo and Hane, please stand. And a little drum roll. Stop on the bleachers. Moving forward, Theo. Thank you, Hane. Standing up next, Hana and Ji-woo. And a drum roll on the bleachers. Moving forward to shock the nation. Give a hand for Ji-woo. And Celia and Jerry, please stand up. And a little drum roll. Moving forward, Jerry. Thank you. And our last matchup, Marie and Ji-yu, please stand. Drum roll. Give it up for Ji-yu. Thank you. And could I please ask Hane, Celia, Hana, and Marie to come on down in front of the stage. Let's take a photo together. And we not only have a certificate, but also some gift certificates, Tosho cards that can be redeemed at any bookstore in Japan, including Kinokuniya. Please come on down to the stage. We'll take a photo, and then after that, we'll get round 3 set. Give a hand. Okay, let's give another round of applause for each individually. Let's start with Hane and give her a hand. And a round of applause for Marie. And Celia. And our most decorated HIS Reads contestant. A round of applause for Hana. All right, we'll take some photos.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. One more time. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, and up next, we have the first of our two matchups for round 3. Let's take a look at the brackets again, just a reminder of us moving forward. And matchup number 13. Please welcome to the center of the stage, Theo and Jury. This timer set to 2 minutes and 2 seconds. All right, Theo will be up first. He will be defending the bad beginning, a series of unfortunate events. Theo, you may begin when you're ready.
More than 30% of children worldwide grow up in an adverse childhood or in poverty. And believe it or not, this is a big deal, because if you do the math, that's 600 million children who aren't getting the normal childhood that we all experience. However, you might as well say that the Baudelaires would have no childhood whatsoever if they were to stay with Count Olaf, their new guardian, for the rest of their lives. Count Olaf saw the Baudelaires as helpless, so he made them do nothing but chores instead of having them go to school, play with other children, or just interact with other human beings. Then he proceeds to take one of the Baudelaires, Sunny, a mere infant, and turns her into a hostage to force Violet, another one of the Baudelaires, to marry him and share the Baudelaire fortune. Now, despite the Baudelaires being characterized as these helpless children, as mentioned earlier, these three found helpful ways to fight back and escape the wrath of Count Olaf. Reading how terrible of a parent and just a person in general Count Olaf was really made me realize and utterly changed how I view everyone around me. I became so appreciative to have such great supportive parents, friends, siblings, and everyone around me, because every little positive thing that they do for me adds up to make me who I am today. Quote, "It is a curious thing, the death of a loved one. We all know that our time in this world is limited, and that eventually all of us will end up underneath some sheet, never to wake up. And yet it is always a surprise when it happens to someone we know. It's like walking up the stairs to your bedroom in the dark and thinking that there is one more stair than there actually is. Your foot falls down through the air, and there's a sickly moment of dark surprise as you try and readjust the way you thought of things. Let me sneak it. Now it's your turn. Take a moment to realize all the great things that everyone's done for you, and forget about the little things that you don't like about someone. Appreciate them now, because they won't be with you forever. Thank you."
Defending Metamorphosis for a third time. Jury, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Are you who you want to be, or what your family or society wants to be? Did you build an individuality without being affected by anything or anybody? Today, because of social media development, our interaction with people increased. We can share information, post some videos, and write some comments, good or bad. But it also affected and made it easier to change our identity. For example, wearing the same clothes as celebrities or using face filters that make you look like someone else are some examples that contribute to losing your actual identity. Appearance plays an essential role in the book. A lot of people don't like bugs because of their appearance. Gregor was rejected by his family just because of his appearance. Today, much technology can virtually change you into a different person. In the book, Gregor's identity was first made by his family since they were so reliant on him that it made him think like he had to work all day long. You could say he was already working like a bug. Ants are part of a colony, so depending on which ant you are, there is a different job. And from birth till death, that is what you do. Because of this, he didn't realize what was happening or his actual relationship with his family. However, his transformation gave him time to spend alone and reconsider his relationship with his family and how he should approach and rethink his family. Because we can hear other people's opinions too easily today, and you can quickly get hive-minded, which means a tendency to adopt the beliefs and views of the other members of one's community. This book teaches you how to get out the hive mind and how our appearance and mind are originally beautiful. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Theo and Jerry, the final four. Okay, and before we get to our next matchup, we actually have our final dynamic duo and HIS writes. Two people I know who might like writing as much as I do. Up first, let's give a round of applause for one of our HIS writes judges, Mr. Tim Schlosser. Give him a hand. Tim is not just our head of school, he loves reading and writing. Reading is one of the primary reasons he ended up in education. In fact, but he also loves writing very much. He has continued to write when he can, and he has a young adult sci-fi novel draft that is edging its way closer, year by year, to completion. He believes storytelling just might be the most powerful tool there is for positive change. And he feels honored that he gets to read the work of the finalist. Each new story brought into the world makes the world a little bit richer. I couldn't agree more. Let's give him a round of applause. And now we turn to our final HIS rights judge. Residing in Niseko, I present Mr. Hiroki Hin Hoshino. Let's give him a hand. Hiroki Hoshino is a keen reader and writer of fiction. With a background in contemporary performing arts, he's always looking for fresh ways to express creative ideas. His favorite genres include horror, mystery, and fantasy, but will generally pick up anything with a thrilling story full of cracking characters. His short stories have been published in Australia and the USA. His surrealist horror short, The Visitor, won an honorable mention at the Writer's Digest 90th Annual Writing Competition and will be published in an upcoming anthology with Brigadsgate Press. He currently works part-time as a creative writer for the entertainment company Whiskers and continues to pen weird poems and short stories as he works up the courage for a full-length novel. Let's give him a round of applause. And now, we have our final matchup for round 3. Another tribute to Jay. Let's give it up for Jiwoo and Jiyu. Jiwoo will be defending first. You may begin when you're ready.
Weird Asian kid, stupid Asian kid, the Asian kid, stupid perfect Asian kid, weird Asian kid, effing Asian kid. I recorded every Asian slur Eleanor calls Park throughout the book. Racism is an ongoing issue, especially the lack of variety of characters of different races in books, movies, and TV shows without being the stereotypical ones. It is common for the protagonist to have a sassy, loud black friend, or have all the East Asian people be weak, yellow-skinned, and have small eyes. Park and Eleanor. Some who read it before might think that I'm overthinking about the book about racism. But did you notice even anything about Park's name? Park Sheridan. Park is supposed to be a character of a Korean mother and an American father with a brother who ironically is named Josh. I assume the author was trying to make the name sound Korean, when Park is a commonly used last name in Korean. Furthermore, friends of Eleanor are the stereotypical black girls that just exist to show how Eleanor gets bullied and has the girls support her. Park's mom is described as being unassertive, small, and like, quote, a dainty China doll. The list goes on, and seeing it from a perspective of a Korean myself, not just a reader, I was astonished of how disrespectful writers could be when they depict characters of certain races. However, the real problem is that some don't even know what is wrong or what are not supposed to feel comfortable with when we accept information from the media. It should be common sense for writers to be mindful of what they write and the influence it will bring. Isn't Jiwoo overreacting, you might think? To be honest, even when I was reading the book and was offended by it, I too was questioning myself if I was just being paranoid. But I realized this was a given opportunity to talk about this serious issue once again and spread it. And now I stand in front of you to accomplish that. Thank you.
Defending Out of Her Mind. Up next, we have Ji-yu. Whenever you're ready, Ji-yu, you may begin.
People can be mean, but they can be surprising too. I didn't know which one to expect. Have you ever judged someone without knowing them well? Or have you ever had a stereotype about the first impression when you met someone for the very first time? This quote, spoken by Melody, reflects her own growing understanding of her challenges of human behavior and importance of not making stereotypes based on the appearance or initial impressions. Melody learns through her classmates how others can surprise us in both positive and negative ways, and that understanding society involves seeing the past and getting to know and understand the people around us. The importance of compassion and promoting social equality as a base for creating a responsible and compatible society is very important. Through the powerful representation of the main character Melody's challenges, which leads to her disability, this book, Out of My Mind, serves as a powerful motivator for exploring and accepting these values. This book gives important lessons in kindness, thoughtfulness, and a deeper understanding of society's challenges. By questioning our own judgments and breaking down the stereotypes, it helps us to recognize the appreciation of our opportunities, unique insights, and true value shown in each person, no matter our special, physical, or mental differences. By giving us to appreciate differences and recognize the importance of everyone's contribution to creating a better society, this book, Out of My Mind, causes important changes in our understandings and stereotypes. Thank you.
And a round of applause for Ji-woo and Ji-yu. Give them a hand, and a hand for our final four. Thank you. All right. So in a moment, I'm going to be dismissing the judges because they need to make two tough decisions. But after that, can you just hang in your seats a little longer so we can give a little bit more love to HIS friends? Judges, you now have 6 minutes to make your decision. We'll see you back in 6 minutes. All right, audiences and finalists, let's reveal our final HIS Writes finalist story. A story that might feel a little forgotten or isolated. We didn't forget you. Well, in fact, we had you locked in. Put your hands together for Layla! All right. And that brings us to the audience intermission. We'll be resuming in about 5 minutes or so. Don't go too far. Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay. think we're ready. So just giving you some idea, we've been going back and forth between HIS reads and HIS writes, just like the judges have been going back and forth with their decisions. And now it's time to finally reveal who these HIS writers actually were. So, if your story is on the board, those 7 stories, could you please come to the front of the stage and stand next to your collaborators. These were collaborative stories from the most case. We've got a solo one in there as well. Come on up to the stage and let's give them a round of applause. That means all group members. Come on up, be proud. Yeah, we got some stories that were written by 4, by 5, by 1, by 3, by 2, and an editor. We should celebrate. All right. Okay. All right. Come on. Okay, and let's just go in order. Forgotten Goal. Can you guys put your hands up so that the audience can know who you are? Forgotten Goal. Let's give a round of applause. One of our finalist stories. The question was how many were submitted, and I kind of lost count, but it's close to 30. So these are the 7 of around 30. All right, the next one, the Steampunk Doctor. If that was you, raise your hand. All right, and All the Small Wishes. If that was you, raise your hand. And the next one, Reminder. If you're a reminder, raise your hand. The Tale of Goldie and the Triplets. Raise your hand if you are a writer, and you can raise your hand if you've edited that as well. All right. Journal to the World, please raise your hand. Or one high schooler. High schoolers submit some warnings. And the last one, Landlocked, please raise your hand. All right, and now we're going to be announcing the bronze winner, the silver winner, and the gold champion. Let's get ready. Each of the winners will be receiving not only a certificate and a gift certificate, but they'll also, the second and first place groups will get a selection of writing books, and we'll give that to them as well. For our bronze winner, drum roll! The top 3 story in HS Writes is Reminder! All right, Reminder, could you step forward so everybody can see who you are? Reminder.
Sorry, battery out. So
I go get quick, so
Okay.
maybe go next.
Okay. Okay, hold tight. We had to give Mr. Katayama a reminder about the batteries. Wait. Thank you. All right. So each of the finalists all get judging feedback. That's what's inside of their envelope. And of course, the bronze gets a 1,000 yen certificate for each person. It's a Tosho card that can be used at any bookstore. And now, there we are, a reminder group right there. Okay. And the second place winner, we're ready for this announcement. Everybody, drum roll! I told you it was locked in London! All right, Zachary and Ava, could you please step? And then there were 5, and only the chance to choose just one more winner. We're going into the gold winner, the first place champion. The first place champion, gold winner is, drum roll, just as I hope, green wish, give it up for all the small wishes! Okay, Jude, Otto, Jeremy, and Josiah. Let's give them a hand.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. On the back. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Ready? And the camera, please. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. 3, 2, 1.
All right. And all of the top 3 have stories in their hand that if you'd like one, go find them and read it. It's beautiful. Okay, and we're getting close on the time. We're probably going to go into the bell, but we need to move forward at HIS reads, so hang tight. Hang tight. All right, so moving things forward between Theo and Jury. Please stand up. Give a round of applause. And moving forward into the top two. Give a round of applause for Jury. Thank you. All right, and we'll keep you on the stage for timing. And please stand up, Jiwoo and Jiyu. Have a stand, and let's give a round of applause for Jiwoo and Jiyu. Who's moving forward? Drum roll! Give a hand for Jiwoo! Okay. All right. Okay. All right. And we'll do all the awards and things like that and photos in a bit, but we want to get into our final matchup. So the very last time defending, we're going to actually switch the order. So we will, let me see that's right. Yep, Jury will be on that side, Jiwoo will be on this side. Jury will defend first. Okay. Jury will be defending the metamorphosis. You can just stick. Yeah, go ahead, go off. Okay, good. Just come back soon. Okay. All right. Jury will be first, and we've got 1 minute and 2 seconds on the clock. Our top two, who will win? The metamorphosis. When you're ready, Jury, you may begin. 2 minutes.
The greatest sorrow in life is the lack of love. This quote tells us about the importance of love and connection in our lives, but also a reminder to cherish the people we love and seek out meaningful relationships. In moments of personal suffering, we may lose awareness of the world. Bugs constantly in motion may also be unaware of global events. As humans, we often lack introspection during comfortable times. However, for Gregor, being a bug offered opportunities for self-reflection. Think about when you become a bug. Everything is millions of times bigger than you. You would think there's no way I can win against them. Everyone will be disgusted and reject you and sometimes trying to stomp you. You might want to give up on your life. But when you make a small goal and try to achieve it step by step, you will be motivated to live. And this is a moment where you appreciate the time you used to be human and think about how you will move on to the next step. This book, The Metamorphosis, teaches you how to reflect, accept, adapt, and improve your identity through Gregor's transformation. The book suggests the importance of acceptance and life through Gregor's transformation. Are you happy with who you are right now? If not, you might be the next person to turn into a bug. Thank you.
Thank you. And defending Park and Eleanor for the final time, Jiwoo, you may begin when you're ready.
It is a busy, exhausting life we live. We are sometimes judged and mistreated along the way, and we usually tend to just go over it, or forget about it, or try to forget about it. We often fuss over whether to agree or disagree about an idea, with someone, or not understand how others receive the same information. Eleanor and Park, the two teenage protagonists in the book, are constantly labeled and excluded from others, even from the author herself. And there are still many societal issues out there that are occurring, such as racism, where you are wrongly judged based on your race and ethnicity, assume that you will look or act in a certain way. These tiring, complex circumstances are unfortunately something that we are facing, and will have to face even more with. And it's not very much of a delightful process. Nevertheless, these all relate to one thing in common we are so familiar with, but oftentimes omit, caught up with everyday emotions and situations we face with. The most crucial idea that is so easy to be forgotten: respect. Not only this book made me realize there can be value in every book we read, impacting us to be a better version of ourselves, but it also made me think of what was missing the entire time of the book that I didn't feel quite right about. Rediscovering something is to recall, remembering something genuine and true that was missing. And all this time, since it always was, were respect and love. And not only do we need to be recollected of this significant concept of life, but we also have to know that we all deserve it. No one should violate it in any kind of way, but if they do, rather than pointing out on what's wrong, we have to show that we first treat them with respect. Respect is a key to human interaction. Keys are used to open doors or possibilities. What doors exist in your life that you never discovered? It's time to unlock them. Thank you.
Thank you. And another round of applause for Jury and Jiwoo. Give them a hand. Thank you. It's a beautiful Friday for a final decision. The bell is just rung, but thank you for your patience in the audience that we await the final decision. Thank you. All right. Could we get the audience back into the seats? Could we get Theo and GU over there in close quarters? Could we get the HIS Rights top 2 over in the chairs over there? Because we want to make sure you get your prizes. And then, could we bring back to the stage Jury and Jiwoo? Let's give a round of applause for our top 2. All right. And one final thank you to our judges today. The little, suite that I gave them doesn't really pay them enough for the hard work they put in to try to decide every single round. So let's give a round of applause for our judges. Thank you. Round of applause for Mr. Katayama again for setting all this up. Round of applause for you as the audience, for your patience and for cheering and for being a part of this, and for all of the Sweet 16 finalists. A round of applause for the top 4. And finally, for our top 2, Jury and Jiwoo, please stand. Please stand. And I built this as HIS Reads to make history. We brought in 3 former champs. Things happened, things went crazy, and now we have 2. And who will be the 2023 HIS Reads champion? Drum roll!